All right, listen up. This is a critical security briefing. We've identified a major vulnerability in SmarterMail, and this is your immediate intelligence download. We need to move fast, so let's get right to it.
Okay, first things first. The vulnerability, which is CVE-2025-52691, has a CVSS score of 10.0 out of 10.0. For anyone who doesn't know, that is the absolute highest severity rating possible. It means total system compromise, and it's dead simple for an attacker to pull off.
So, what are we dealing with here? It's an unauthenticated remote code execution flaw. Let's break that down. Unauthenticated means the attacker doesn't need a username, they don't need a password, they need nothing to get in. And remote code execution means they can upload a malicious file and run their own code, giving them complete and total control of your server. Look, threats like this evolve in real time. So before we dive deep into the technicals, we need to establish a secure comms channel. It's absolutely crucial that you can get our updates the second they drop. So, step 1, subscribe and ring that notification bell. This isn't just about watching a video. This is a security necessity. It ensures you get our intelligence briefings the moment they're published.
Step 2, hit that like button right now. Think of it as your digital signature, acknowledging that you have received this critical advisory.
And finally, step 3, comment below with your patch status. Are you vulnerable or have you already patched to build line 413 or later? Sound off. This community intel is vital. It helps all of us gauge the real-world blast radius of this threat.
Okay, comms check complete. Here's our protocol for this briefing. We've identified the threat. Now we're going to cover the blast radius, your immediate countermeasures, how to hunt for compromise, and then we need to talk about the silent patch problem.
All right, section 1, the blast radius. Let's really understand what's at stake here, because this is about way more than just email. You know, Fidelis Security summed it up perfectly. This is a complete mail server takeover. We're not just talking about someone reading your emails. We're talking data theft, service disruption, and using your server to deploy ransomware or attack other networks. The whole 9 yards.
And here's why it's so bad. The exploit grants attackers NT authority/system privileges. For you, that means they have the highest level of control possible on a Windows machine. It's not like they just stole a key to the front door. It's like you handed them the master key to every single room, the blueprints, and the admin password to the security system. They own everything.
And attackers are already on the move, following a really predictable pattern. First, they're scanning the internet, looking for vulnerable servers. Then, they probe for that specific upload endpoint. Once they find it, they deliver their payload, usually a web shell. And from there, they can execute any command they want. Knowing these steps is going to be key to finding them in your logs.
Okay, on to section 2, immediate countermeasures. This is your action plan. This is what you need to do right now.
The number 1, absolute, non-negotiable step is to upgrade. You have to get onto SmarterMail Build 9413 or a later version immediately. This is the only way to fully patch the hole.
Now, if for some reason you absolutely cannot patch this second, there is a temporary mitigation you can put in place. You can use IIS request filtering to create deny rules that block access to any .aspx files in the app data and file storage directories. Now listen, this might stop them from running the malicious file, but it doesn't stop them from uploading it. Treat this as a band-aid, not a fix.
All right, section 3, hunting for compromise. You have to operate under the assumption that you may have already been targeted, so here's how you find the evidence.
So what does this actually look like in the wild? Let's take a look at a real-world log file from an attack that was caught in progress.
This log capture, shared by a community member on the forums, is the smoking gun. See that first line? That post request to /API/v1/upload? That's the attacker planting their web shell. Then, just 6 seconds later, you see a GET request to a brand new .aspx file. That's the attacker knocking on the back door they just installed to run their commands. If you see this pattern in your logs, you are actively compromised.
So let's just crystallize these indicators of compromise. On the network side, watch for those post requests to the upload API from IPs you don't recognize. On the host itself, you're hunting for any unexpected .aspx files in your web directories. Also, look for a file named conhost.exe in your c.windows folder. It's often a disguised Cloudflare tunnel client.
And finally, check your Windows startup folder for any strange .bat files they might have planted to maintain persistence.
And that brings us to our final and really important section, the silent patch problem. Because how this whole situation was handled is a critical lesson for all of us.
Just look at this timeline. The patch was actually released way back on October 9th, but it was buried in the release notes under General Security Fixes. No warning, no sense of urgency. It wasn't until nearly 3 months later, at the end of December, that an official alert came out from Singapore's security agency, finally revealing the 10.0 critical score. This created a massive window of exposure where good admins, people like you, were completely in the dark, sitting on a ticking time bomb.
As you can imagine, the community reaction was, well, furious, and rightly so. Sysadmins were outraged. A lot of pros deliberately stay on older, stable builds to avoid new bugs, and this policy left them completely exposed. Worse, anyone on an end-of-life version had no way to patch without paying for a full upgrade. To their credit, after the backlash, the company's CEO did commit to changing their communication policy for future critical issues.
This whole situation really leaves us with one burning question. When a vendor quietly pushes out a fix for a 10.0 vulnerability but doesn't tell anyone how severe it is, who is truly being protected? Is it the customer who remains unknowingly at risk, or is it something else?
So, patch your systems, hunt for compromise, and always demand transparency. Stay secure.